All right, hey, hi, hello, happy new year, and welcome, where we are listening to my chord and ornamentation generator, I think is what I've decided I'm going to call this. Fully generative, never repeats itself. Sounds like just a gang of lounge musicians kind of lazily warming up for the day. You can pull the drums out, turn this into a resampled dream. Let's just hear this for a second. Oh. Woo. I love it when it does the good stuff when I ask it to. So if that doesn't have your mouth watering already, then I don't know what to tell you. This might not be the channel for you. So I thought we'd just kind of listen to it for a while I talk through how it works, what it's doing. We're gonna build one from scratch, all stock that I can distribute on my Patreon channel, so Patreon members will get the project file, and be able to make your own. And this is just a really cool thing that I've come across that really owes its success to the humble note echo. You ever spend much time playing with note echo? I don't. I sure didn't before I started doing this, and it turns out note echo might be goated. So let's dive in here and see what we have going on. The star of the show is my piano chords channel here. MIDI looks like this. We have just the root and the fifth in our key, which is D sharp minor today. I have another one, a third up, that's not really that important, and then another one using a different interval. This one down here, I did kind of put in a chord progression, but because we are randomizing these notes, I consider this more encouraging it to play something along these lines than actually dictating that it will play that progression. But let me show you what I mean. So our voice is just this Ravel piano from Universal, which I think is very lovely. Sounds fantastic. Alongside a couple texture layers that we'll get to later. But what happens is these notes get sent into this chain right here, which has a chance of randomizing the input note just a little bit. It will then turn that note into a chord, where I'm randomizing the amount of strum, which is giving us our first layer of different timing. Like that. Those notes all then get fed into the note echo, delayed a ways back in time, and then those delayed notes may get randomized a little bit again. Then on the front end, I have this note echo, which I am randomizing whether or not it is even on, and then the delayed time on it, the beat division there. I also have an LFO sweeping this up or down an octave, so we have a chance that the input note may happen more than once going into that chain that then delays and randomizes it further. I'm doing that with this guy, which is the old version of expression control. I've said before that I prefer the old version because you have all of these on one panel instead of having to pop through a bunch of different tabs. So I call this Randex, I just keep it on hand because I randomize a lot of stuff, man. I randomize a lot. We then also have I've split up the two notes I showed you before. We were playing the root and the fifth. My root on this channel down here, I have another chance to separately randomize, and then just drop an octave underneath that. So it's as if your left hand were playing a thumb and pinky octave down there. A little bit of timing difference on there with the strum. And then let me solo this up and show you these texture layers. If we just hear for a second. Ooh. Hear the bubble? Here they come. Ooh, the bubble and crackle. Those are just some... Ooh, there it is. Those are just some of these engine options in Meld. There's one for bubble and there's one for crackle. And I'm just sweeping a band pass around on there, a little bit of attack on there so it comes in, takes a second to get there. It literally takes a second to get there. Just to try to fool you into thinking that maybe these are separate layers, but nope, all just triggered by those piano notes. And then all that through a pretty big reverb. I used ROM. Directly supporting that is what I would call our stand-up bass. It's called an 808 here, but it is basically just those. MIDI looks like this. You can see I've got lower chance on these second notes, so that those may come in to give a little bit of counter syncopation. And and then randomizing the note there. About 50% of the time that might play a different note. Patch itself is just a sine wave with an FM layer on the beginning, a little bit of pitch envelope to give it some pluckiness, and then saturating. I think it's just a nice round kind of tubbiness underneath. Let's keep moving to the left. We have our jazz drums here. These are grooves out of Addictive Drums that I didn't do that much to. I think I double timed them. I played with the notes a little bit. And then some of them are stretched, reversed, put into different warp modes, and the follow actions are just making them jump around between them, so we get different drums every time with a little bit of those, that kind of thing, those textured things, surprising us, delighting us. We have this pad in the back. There it is. And you can see I've gated that pad to the drums, but the threshold on it is coming up and down, so it comes in and out of being gated by the drums and being a constant drone, which I thought just added a little more interest. That pad is coming from VC Rack. I've been playing with modular a lot more lately. I absolutely love it. This is a bit of a sloppy job, but I won't apologize. It does what it's supposed to do. We have an FM op. I have a sample and hold, slow LFO, moving that sample and hold, and then quantizing that to a few of the notes in D sharp minor, our key for today. Then we're just moving the feedback, moving the filter a little bit, putting that through an entirely wet reverb. And then on the outside, we've got a little bit of tremolo. I don't think that cabinet's doing much at all. I just felt cool using it. Phaser. And there's our pad. That saturator is important. We get that nice raspy texture on there, which I think is lovely for that background layer. We have these sci-fi noises. These are coming from Refractalizer, which I've been loving. I am going to do a more in-depth video on this lately because I've just been absolutely loving it. Big thanks to Encanti for sending this over. I always wanted to be the kind of person that got sent software to try out, and that happened really fast for the channel. So thanks, Encanti, for being the first one. I am hugely inspired by this thing. And then finishing it off, we have our chimes, which are so randomized that I might as well just play for you. Those aren't coming in too often, but that is just a sample of wind chimes in Current's granular engine. You can take a look at my settings here. Set up kind of a poor man's sample and hold on this LFO. Every time I hit a note, we get a different value, which is changing where the layer span is, the rate they're coming in, and then I also am playing either a higher C or a lower C. And so we have a couple different flavors of wind chime that might come in and out. MIDI for that looks like this, either a low note or a high note. Again, very low chance that that'll happen. And let's just let this ride for a second before we crack open a fresh one. Now that you've seen it all, just let your ear kind of pull itself to the various layers and how they're working together. I think this is just very cool. I left this in one earbud all throughout work yesterday, and I never got bored with it. You can, like I showed, pull those drums out and just sample down whole movements, a whole kind of wandering passage that you could then write a piece of music around that's already got a lot of interest in it. Here, let's just listen for a minute or two. Just absolutely lovely. All right, let's pop one open from scratch. Let's get a new project going. Sure, save. Don't mind me while I just tidy up and get rid of everything in my template that you guys may not have. We'll just get as stock as we can. I considered starting this off with an electric piano this time, but I'm not going to. I'm just not gonna. We're going to get a pretty similar sound to last time. And you know what? We're going to do E major. The sun's out. Let's make something happy, bright, nice sounding, relaxing as we stare out our window contemplatively. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for a fifth, and we will drop that an octave. And let's get this thing going. So, I'm gonna use those. I'm gonna use and give away those same drum loops as in the first project. So we're gonna use the same tempo. I like to do these pretty slow. Once you see how it works, you'll understand why we want a good amount of space to fill with those ornamenting notes. So first things first, we're gonna drop a random here, but we're gonna group this random, duplicate it, and then I'm going to have a separate chain for both my low and my high notes. Like so. I am going to leave a little more room for the low, and I'll show you why in a second. And we'll call you our root, and you our top. And let's take care of the root first, because it'll be pretty quick. We're going to give you about a 50% chance, scale aware, of playing one of 3 different notes, maybe. Wonderful. And then I am going to use a chord on here, and we're going to use that chord to drop a lower octave and just add a little bit of negative strum here. So now our left hand is doing like a thumb and pinky octave down below whatever happens up top. For the top, we're going to have a slightly higher chance of maybe a few more notes possible. So we've got a few different harmonies going on every time, and then those randomized notes are also going to get chorded. Because we're in major, we'll give it a major third, a fifth, and let's say a chance of an octave. Maybe 50% of the time we'll have that octave come in here. Scale aware, of course, and some strum. What happened to my notes? What happened to my notes, bud? Okay, not sure what happened there, but we are back in business. And what I'm gonna do is randomize the strum here. This is the old version of expression control, which I've mentioned before I prefer for this kind of thing because you get all of your tabs on one view instead of having to go diving through panels for each of them. And so I just have this preset called randex that I made that's just all of them set to a random. I'll include that in the project file for you guys if you don't have the old version, because I think it's nice to have around. And let's just reduce the range of that strum a little bit. It can get a little wild if it takes too long in either direction. Okay, we're off to the races here. And then each of those notes in that chord may also be randomized. Let's say a little less than half the time in either direction. We could have like 3 different choices for those notes. Very cool. So now we will get our note echo in here. I never see this guy get a lot of play, but I've just been loving it this week, working on stuff like this. Let's say, let's give you that much, reduce the velocity that these guys are going to come back through and a lower feedback, and let's see what we get. And we will randomize the amount of time that might happen in, but let's drop that range quite a bit like this. So we get a little more variation each time. And then, you guessed it, randomize the delayed notes. Let's Let's wait till we hear one with a nice strum amount. Very cool. And then what I'm kind of thinking is, this ornamentation rack, I'm going to call this the ornamentation rack, might not happen every time. And we'll call you standard. And then let's create kind of a probability gate here. Oh. Boop. And let's put another, let's put another a view right before here. Randomize that. I don't think we need 2 of these ornamentation racks, do we? And now we may or may not send the notes through the delay there. Oh, okay. So this will actually have to go earlier in the chain. What are we going to do about that? Yeah, because if the strum happens, it might, oh, well, let's see what happens. If that strum happens, it might delay the later notes. And we might get... I think that's pretty good. I think that's cool. Let's put that other note echo on the front end here. On that top. And we are going to randomize whether or not that happens at all over here. And then we're going to randomize the beat division. But I would like those not as short as they can go, also not as long as they can go. And then we will drop this and this. And then, just for a little more interest, let's get some velocities at the very end of these chains. Here, we'll start getting some of these things out of our face. Did I not just drop that velocity here? I'd like there to be a velocity at the end of this chain, and any of those notes will be a little bit randomized. I think you're just a little bit much. I think that's a little too many notes. So we'll just take it out. And then on our... We did get you on the root. Okay, that's what happened. I see what happened here. And we will randomize you guys just a bit as well. And then we're going to come in here and we're going to adjust the probability that these notes happen. Our low one, we want almost every time. So we're going to say you'll be like north of 80. This one, maybe just a little bit less than that. Let's say like 70. So we might end up getting no notes at all. See, no low note that time. Not wonderful on its own, but I think that's going to sound great in context. So now let's get a nice reverb on there. I'm going to go for these large rooms, and what large wood room? I could live with that. And then over here, let's get ourselves some shimmer. Ooh. Tighter on that shimmer there. And and then more toward the room. Okay. So now let's think about those layers that we had, those texture layers. I think I'm going to do the bubble one just straight up again because I love that bubble layer so much. Let's pop you in here. Put you on our friendly bubble. We'll make you monophonic. Should we make you monophonic? I think you need to be polyphonic. But only a few notes. Because we might have, how many notes might we have over here? We might have, I should have kept track of if we have as many notes as fingers as a person could potentially play on a piano. But I'm not gonna. I don't care. I'm unbothered. Let's put a little bit of that bandpass on here. And let's get a slow LFO. Let's slow both our LFOs right down. And firstly, let's play with the spread here just a little bit. And let's play with the frequency here. Getting a little distortion on there that I don't need. Then let's come to our envelope. Let's give ourselves a little bit of time for it to come in, and let's give ourselves a nice bit of release. Come on now. We are getting a little bit of fuzz there. Let's hear it against the piano. I'd like more bub. So we only get those bubbles when there's enough time between the notes over here for this envelope to come through, and I think that's cool. I like that. I'm gonna leave that, and then we'll do the same with that crackle layer. I wonder what would happen. What if we did that on the same meld? I wonder if there's a way we could make these play nicely together. You will definitely be high pass. And then on you, I do get separate LFOs for oscillator B. Okay. Do I get Euclidean? What happens if we do a what if we put that on? I'm not gonna do a Euclidean. I'm not gonna make that up. Let's just do a nice wander on the volume. Or the density. Let's do it on the density. Let's do that on the density. And then very slow LFO2. Can I get a sample and hold here? Can I get a rounded sample and hold here? Don't know that I can. Let's just do a sine inversely on that frequency right here. And again, it does need to happen fast enough that it can happen in between the triggered notes. Ooh. Okay, we got our crackle and bubble, we got our piano. I think I am liking where this piano's at. So let's next get our, I think I want to use an actual upright bass sound for this. Do I get a jazz bass? I could have sworn we had like an upright bass stock. Here we go. Yeah, let's pull you in. And lower octave, please. Something like this. I think that's the same pattern I used last time. Let's do something different. Let's put you here and you back. Oh, doot doot. And you guys will have a lower probability of happening, maybe 1 in 4-ish. I'll make that monophonic. And we'll drop a random. Pretty likely that you will be one of 2 different notes above or below. And let's get just a little bit of more grit on you. Let me pull you down. Ooh. All right, pretty solid. Let's get our drums in. I'm gonna use these same ones I already have because I have them prepared and ready to go. As I mentioned, these are just grooves out of Addictive Drums. I haven't checked the terms of service, but if we're not allowed to distribute samples that we made with Addictive Drums, then like a lot of people are in a lot of trouble. So I hope I don't get the one done for it. But let's put these in here. And then we're just gonna use our follow actions and have these hop to another one of them. Anytime we finish one, it's gonna move to any other one every beat. 1 beat. And we'll pop the legato on. And then let's get some options of glitched out kind of textured ones. I'm going to pull this down. If you are not aware, then those follow actions will only affect clips that are coupled to it in space. So if this one's not touching, it won't follow. The action will not follow. So as long as this one's running, we can just kind of listen to it and make some changes. I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to put it on, let's try tones mode. And I'm going to stretch it. I think that's fun. Let's grab another one. This one we will do texture. I think that's pretty cool. Let's grab one. Let's grab this first one, and let's just do one that is forward but is grainy. Maybe some more texture. I think that's cool. Okay, so now, because we have so many of these affected ones, the probability that they will move from a normal one to one of these is going to be higher than in the demonstration because there are more of these. But we can kind of encourage it to hang out longer on one of the unaffected ones by just increasing the length of their duration before the follow action happens. So these ones will happen for 2 beats and then 1 beat of one of these, and there's nothing stopping it from moving from an affected to an unaffected. But let's see what happens if we just let this ride for a sec. Great, fantastic. I think I'm just going to leave that alone. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's get a nice pad in here. I'm going to try to replicate what I was doing in VC Rack, which is a poor man's version of a pad I saw on Not Things channel. Shout out Not Things. You've been really great for my modular journey. So what we're going to do is grab, so the idea is to alternate between. He did a root and a fifth. I don't think we necessarily have to. Let's give ourselves like 2 bars. And I will set it up as if we were gonna do a root and a fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm gonna do what he had done with a sample and hold in an envelope, instead with an arpeggiator. That's just gonna alternate between that root and fifth. And then we're just going to throw that through a really big reverb. How big can we get with stock? Bigger spaces. And that's pretty good. That's pretty patty already. Let's get a couple of LFOs in here. And I want to be slowly bringing in and out FM from 1 below and 1 at the same, I guess. So let's do this. You can come up about as high as, let's say, 60%. And then the same over here. And you can come up about as high as the same. And let's hear that. We'll throw... So you do end up hearing the differentiation between those notes when the FM comes in. So I'm going to drop that a little bit. That's good? Okay, that's good. And then I'm going to do this, I think I'm going to do the same thing I did with the piano, where we decouple that top and bottom note and we randomize each separately with different ranges on them. So yeah, let's see what we can get out of that. So this will be our top note, this will be our bottom note. Our bottom note, we're gonna sometimes, every once in a while, you might be 2 different voices. And our top note, we will make a little more likely that you might be a few more voices. Let's say you could have 3. And now every time one of these happens, you know what we could also do? Same thing again, let's reduce the chance that these... I always want the low note to play, but I don't always want the top note to play. So let's drop you down to like 70. Or do I want that backwards? No, I want it like this. Let's just see what happens before we get too carried away. That is great. Just loving that so far. Let's get some of our kind of glitchy, spacey sci-fi noises in here. I'm gonna use granulator as opposed to either refractalizer or current here, just for, you know, stock's sake. And I have a pack of Foley noises recorded in my kitchen. I like these sounds a lot. I can't remember if I've already put these on the Patreon or not, but I'm gonna this month. You can get all of these. I think it's like 500 noises. Let me find something kind of metallic-y with a little bit of length to it so we can move around the grains. That'll do. That'll do. And then what we want to do is, using our handy dandy Randex, we're going to randomize the position, but I would like that to hang out mostly near the front. We're going to randomize our grain size, but I would like that never to get too small. We're going to randomize our spread, but that never too spread. And we're going to randomize our scan up to about 1/3. I think that spread's a little too much. We're going to bring that spread down to... Okay, I could live with that. Let's give that some attack, as well as some release. Okay, and then let's say, let's give ourselves 3 bars. So this is kind of coming in and out of sync with everything that's on a more, I guess, average time length. Let's do something like this, and then go up, and then down, and all of these have about a north of 30% chance of happening. And let's let this ride for a sec. That is great. That's just lovely. Really liking the low one. And then just like in the original example, because of how randomized these notes are, this is not so much going to make it play the progression I'm going to put in, but like I said, I can kind of encourage it to play something more like a progression. And this is why I left myself a little bit of room over here. So now, I think I should have left myself enough room. Yeah. My top and my bottom notes still get treated the same, even though those are moving, and then we get a little bit more movement there. And there we go. There we have it. Let's try it without the drums. I think that's just lovely. So, there you have it. A generative chord and ornamentation builder. Took us less than an hour, and we have a thing that you could listen to all dang day, if you ask me. So, yeah, thanks so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some ideas, and tell a friend to tell a friend. We're gonna keep doing this every month, new videos, new samples. Check out the Patreon. Thanks so much.